it all like went up in flames, and then from the ashes of our our fighting, I guess we stepped up a bit.
At some point, Boxy came up to me and he said, "You know all the fighting we did? It really helped me like be prepared for like my relationship."
I told William, if I don't win this TI, I will never win a TI in my life.
I think I was like rooting for Thunder.
I was kind of
and then I'm like thinking, okay, Topson has this hero. I'm like scared of every single one. So I'm like, okay, let's go Quinn. You know?
Back to business as
back
usual?
to business, back to getting second places maybe, and then, you know, we'll pick up from there. We just need to get the grand finals and Nisha's curse or blessing will win it for us.
For this final chapter, we've gathered as many as we could. We got almost all of them still with Insania, Nisha, and Jabs on the front row. And then we got Mickey, KP, and Boxy joining us as well. So a full house here, or more than a full house actually. And yeah, the final year we're here to talk about. It starts with someone who's not in this couch or chairs whatsoever, because it starts with 33 joining. We know Zai took his exit after a previous international, and then 33 fills his void. And for that, Jabs, I'm gonna go to you because I wanna start by talking about this from a strategy point of view. 33, very different strategy, normally has always played very different strategy from the strategies that Team Liquid has always played. How come he was the one for the team?
So at TI, we kind of had to decide who we were playing with, and I think we just came to the conclusion that Neda was the best fit, not because of his playstyle necessarily, but just because we thought he was like the best player that we could play with, and Zai also vouched for him very heavily. So going into the year, we all knew there's going to be a playstyle clash and we're going to have to figure it out. And yeah, I mean, the year started off, interestingly enough, with, I mean, I guess if you don't count KL, because we had a stand-in, which now I guess is our player, it started off with a second place in Dubai, where we ended up getting to the finals yet again. So we kind of continued our tradition of the last year, and we thought like, yeah, this is going good. But the issues then started to come in slowly after it was somewhat of, I'd say like a honeymoon tournament, and we kind of just made it to the finals. We then had to figure out how we proceed from there.
I mean, earlier we talked about the transition when you guys added Zai in the offlane role, and Boxy, you had moved from offlane to 4 at the time. This is now going to be the first time you've swapped offlaners since being a support. Like, what was the difference for you in terms of play style, in terms of adjustments being made around, I'd say, a much more farm-heavy offlaner in 33 as opposed to Zai?
Yeah, there's a kind of big difference. I think Zai was a little more wild, or like he wanted to play a lot of different heroes and do a lot of different things and try to like be a little more hipster. I think that for free or like Nara really wanted efficiency and to be like stable, and I don't think he always wanted to have like the highest net worth, but for him it was a lot about like what's in theory the strongest and how can we like get the most gold, or like how can we be stable in that sense. And Zai was a little more abstract, I guess. So it was something to get used to. I mean, in the beginning, our lanes were not the greatest. I know that like I wanted to go in, and he wanted to hit creeps, or like we weren't on the same page. Right. So we had a little bit of problems there, but it you know gets solved as the year progresses, and you adapt to each other, I think.
Yeah, there were a couple of issues, as Jab's also alluding to, in terms of how the playstyle clashes. I can only imagine, based on the track record of the people that joined Team Liquid, also 33 did not come from Team Secret, so massive difference there already. But it seems like it's the first one that didn't get wooed by Will in the same way as Nisha and Matu and Zai was. Insania, is that fair to say?
Oh, I actually don't really know.
Okay, because I'm going towards the fact that it felt like also the drafting style once again had to be changed up, and at that point I guess it was mostly Will and Netta doing the drafting together.
Yeah, no, it was Will and Netta, yeah.
Yeah. How did that coexist?
For me, stylistically, I had this was very hard to like understand. Like the draft picture, I think was like, for me at least, much harder. Like playstyle stuff, I think whatever, but like to understand like how the drafts were coming together and trying to see like the vision was like the hardest for me this year, I think, in the start, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, we talked about with Matu, like what happened between you two and Lane, what happened towards the nearing TI and how he took over the drafting reins. Like, maybe I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but like just to get a vibe for the entire year, I'd just say for all of you guys, like where, you know, if Netta's style's over here and your previous year style as a team was over here, like where did you guys land? In the middle, more towards him? Like, did you guys have to buy into his vision, it felt like? I view him as like a generally pretty stubborn in his ideas kind of player, so I guess I'll ask Mikke for this one since it's like farm oriented and everything.
I think for me, I had to adapt a lot more, play less greedy in a way, but also more pressure. So it's like I tried to meet him in the middle, and it was really hard in the beginning to like adapt to him. But I think once my hero started to become meta, it became way easier and way more natural. But for sure in the beginning, it was probably the hardest for me to adapt to him, like playstyle wise.
And I guess like if you're thinking about playstyles, like both the side lanes have their duo lanes going on. Nisha mid lane's always kind of on its own island. Did you feel this same thing that Mikke is describing during this year?
For me, it was quite easy, I think. I like to be... I think he was very stubborn about mid as well, but he had like good ideas about what he needed from mid. So oftentimes he was like, just, you're playing this kind of thing. And like, I'm like, yeah, sure. For me, it was quite easy, yeah.
If you're looking back at the year, Boxy, it wasn't as successful as the year before that, so at least not as many second places as the year before that. But do you still look back on the year in a way where you feel like your team succeeded in what you were trying to do in terms of the ideas and how you were able to execute them?
I mean, we won TI.
Other than the TI.
Other than the TI.
Before leading up TI.
Yeah, I mean, we did really well in Riyadh. Mm-hmm. And you know, obviously we did well at TI, but looking at other than TI, I mean, there was a lot of struggles at times. I think our team atmosphere weren't the greatest at times, and people, like, we didn't always get along the best, I guess. I think Nera maybe didn't always get like full support or trust in like his ideas, but I also think that to get anything out of him, you really had to like fight for it, or for him to like move his goalpost a bit. Mm-hmm. But I think every year that you play Dota, you're gonna have like some troubles and some ups and downs. And I think like when we played with Side, or we play with, even before Side, when we play even with Koiko and Taiga, it's like, you always have troubles. And it's just, the people who fight for their ideas and the people who are outspoken are probably gonna be the ones that like gather most of the troubles around them in a way. And so like, I'm not sure like how much is like his fault or how much is other people's fault. I know like sometimes it was my fault and sometimes it was his fault when we didn't get along in lanes and stuff, you know. But it's kind of up to everyone's responsibility to just try and form a system that's working. Whether it's like taking more space or taking less space, or you have to like try and gel with each other. And it took some time, I guess.
Top 6 was basically the overarching result of most of the events leading up to TI. But I do want to talk about Riyadh as well, because there you guys did better than top 6 again. But it was once again Gaming Gladiators, Insenio.
We claimed our rightful place. No, but I think like the patch changed at some point. I think it was after Birmingham. Mm-hmm. And the meta started shifting in a direction that stylistically made a lot of sense for our team. And I think, on my end at least, it was the first few months of the year, again, excluding how we were playing, just like how we were picking heroes, just didn't really feel like it made sense compared to what everybody else was doing. And then it shifted into our favor again. And I think, like, funnily enough, gaming had like the same year in some ways as us. And I at this point, I remember I started thinking, like, you know, this is just how it is. It's just like, you're going to be good in your patch, and you just have to accept it, like, the patch isn't yours, and it is what it is. So yeah, no, it was just like a patch change, and I think like getting some results again, kind of like also a breath of fresh air. Kind of seeing that, like, okay, it can work, and then also seeing like the vision of how it works, I think was like a really nice lead up into TI and our TI bootcamp. And I think Riyadh was just that.
I guess like I would ask, I'd say Jabs as like the analyst strategist. Like, how much of a role do you guys think the patch plays across the years you guys have been together as a team? When you're drafting, if you feel like you have the advantage, like how much have you guys also progressed in regards to like adjusting certain patches? Has that approach changed over time? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think like Aiden said, patches do matter a lot. You can kind of tell the same teams are, based on the patch, are going to be better or worse. I think over the years we for sure have gotten better at playing different kinds of patches. But when things are just natural for your team, drafting especially suddenly becomes so simple, and there's like one less worry you have to think about. And when I feel like teams play the best when they just kind of get to be in their natural habitat of doing exactly what they want to do without having to think of all these small things all the time. So naturally, teams are always going to be stronger when their natural playstyle are good in the patch. But I think as you become like, or as a tier one team, tier one teams are pretty good at adapting to different playstyles. And because you have the experience of playing over many years, you have experience playing in this scenario before and in this scenario before. So you're more used to playing on different kind of patches and different kind of strategies.
Well, the patch kind of working in you guys' favor. Then comes second, Riyadh, which is really good. Same old roadblock in Game and Gladiators. Enter KP, because you guys had one more event before TI. You're gonna go to Lima, Elite League, I believe it was. And KP, talk to me, because how did you come to join this merry band of people?
Well, pretty much because I played in the qualifiers for TI, right? And then I didn't make it, so simply I just slid into the DMs of Blitz, William Lee, and you miss all the shots you don't take. So I just slid into the DMs and like it all just worked out.
Yeah, because the first thing that you did was stand in for Will in that event in Lima. Talk to me about how that event felt for you, because that was also the first ever LAN win for some of these guys.
To be honest, quite a new experience for me because I've never coached before, obviously, and to be honest, our team was not in the best shape at that time, not just in the game but also out of the game. So for me, it was like, as a new guy and like the team's not doing so well, I'm not sure what I needed to do. So I kind of just observing and understanding people and all that stuff. So a bit less Dota stuff back then compared to now, obviously. So back then I'm just getting used to the guys, hanging out. I got close to this guy because we always go on walks and stuff like that, for example. And yeah, just really a interesting, fun, new experience.
Okay, so I hear from your outside perspective joining the team that they're not in the best spot right now. I guess as I've been listening to this whole story over the last 5 or so years, I have no idea from the outside looking in how I'm supposed to understand when a team's in a good spot or not. I feel like there's a lot of this, and I guess I'm wondering, after coming off of not the most successful year, but then getting second at Riyadh, I feel like you guys are on the up and up. Mikke, why do you think you guys weren't in the best spot?
I think after Riyadh, I think we were in 50-50 to dodge or skip the Lima event.
Yeah.
And I think mentally we were not really there for the event, to be honest. And it was just a hard time.
Was it fatigue, or was it just a lot of...
I'm not sure. I just felt because I wanted to skip it personally, but then I got convinced to play it by William, which did not even show up, by the way. And so mentally I was not really there, and then he caused some frustrations within the team. So I guess when we got there, I think we were not in the best mood, and partially it was my bad. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think it was just a bad spot for us, and not great, not fun to play that event. I think for most of us.
It seems like you were kind of thrown into the deep there a little bit. KP.
I mean, but for me, I don't know, in my experience, teams got, in my previous teams, it was much worse. So for me, that was not that bad. There's maybe people are just a bit more quiet and stuff, but I've seen much worse many times. So I don't know. I'm just chilling.
Is this a vibe everyone feels I
can say, I think this Lima event was probably if you imagine like all the frustrations of the entire year, that all the small stuff that have been building up. We'd been at boot camp for a long time. We went to Riyadh, got smashed by gaming, whatever. I think usually you go home after a big event, and then like you kind of like forget about your team for a few weeks, and then you come back and you're like fresh. But when you live with someone, and I'm sure everyone that like has like people they live with can relate to this, like the small stuff that really doesn't matter just become massive. And I think there was a lot of that going on during this event, where just like being around each other for a little bit too long led to very silly things being blown out of proportion. And then those frustrations also boiling over, and like, your professionalism of like shoving it to the side or whatever, not being strong enough.
So how important was this event for you guys as a team in order to move forward to become a better version of Team Liquid going into TI? It feels like it wasn't the most happy event in Lima that you guys ever had, but you did win it. It was your first title, so somewhere along the line, Boxy, somewhere something must have clicked, must have happened.
I mean, it all like went up in flames, and then from the ashes of our our fighting, I guess we stepped up a bit. I mean, there were some nights, I guess, where like people were yelling at each other, and that's not great. But then after some release of emotions and some people calling William and saying everything's going to shit, I think when you have games to play, you still like step up and you play Dota, and other stuff doesn't matter as much. And then we won, kind of close, series. But I think winning a LAN was really nice for TI. I think we lost a lot of grand finals up until this point. So even if we won, like maybe not, it wasn't like the tier 1 teams there. I think one win that we played against were not bad at the time. And kind of like a confidence boost to win finals from me.
All it took was one win.
Funny keepers.
I just want to like throw it back all the way to the beginning. I believe it was Aiden and Boxy that were beefing like 5 years ago, right?
Sure.
And you mentioned that you guys weren't the best at like just talking through stuff back then, and now you're telling me like emotions were had, things were said. Like, do you guys feel like over the course of this entire journey that you've got better at talking to each other? Like that the fact that you played together for so long allowed these situations to sort themselves out?
I think now it's no longer me and Aiden beefing.
No, but I remember a really funny quote about this actually, because we started dating our girlfriends roughly around the same time.
Yeah, like 3-4 years ago.
Okay, maybe a little, whatever, roughly the same time. But I remember at some point Boxy came up to me and he said, all the fighting we did, it really helped me like be prepared for like my relationship. And if I'm honest, I feel very much the same way. And I know like countless times I've at least thought to myself like, this sounds exactly like what me and Boxy like, and I know how to get out of this, like, because we had these fights before. And I think that is a life skill. I think Dota doesn't teach you a lot of life skills, but when it comes to like how to be with other people and stuff, I think for sure compared to back then, it's a lot better. I would say like even this Lima event, like we kind of talked our problems out, even though sometimes like the talks were not very productive or very enjoyable. We at least talked it out, and I know the end result of it, at least on my end, was probably one of the like best conversations I had in terms of like sorting problems out and then seeing like the result of it. Whereas I think like 5 years ago I would have like went to Mickey and been like, oh yeah, fuck this guy, like Boxy's so annoying, I hate him, and then like Mickey would go to William and be like, help, or something like this. So yeah.
I guess I think of Mickey and Nisha as two of the quieter guys in this type of
it's like,
setting.
You go vent to like someone that like is there but not part of it, and I think that's not really a productive way of handling the problem at the time.
Wow. Yeah. Communication skills learned right here, and of course brought a lot of good things, because going into the international, you guys were probably feeling quite good after winning a LAN and apparently having a lot of issues solved. Nisha, did you guys feel confident going into this TI more so maybe than other TIs? What was the vibe like there?
I mean, I think the Peru tournament definitely helped winning it. So I think the patch was kind of easy as well. Like I had like my couple heroes I just wanted to play no matter what, and I was just like kind of having fun playing this game. So going to the TI, it was like very nice. I don't remember the groups, but playoffs were quite a blast.
Yeah, quite smooth. Not dropping a single game, I believe. But before it even gets to that part, those group stages that you mentioned, is everybody else like? Did you all feel the same way in terms of like, oh, you know, things are going pretty well for us? Mickey nodding along.
I mean, I did feel like all three of my favorite heroes are like first pick. You know, like I'm like living life. If I feel like if I told William, if I don't win this TI, I will never win a TI in my life, and we ended up winning it. So.
Yeah. Did everybody just feel like the meta was just theirs? Boxy, did you have the same way?
I mean, I guess. I think it took some time for us to like figure out what we wanted to play. I feel like this notion that like a meta is there to be like discovered, I guess, is like you can always play heroes that you are good at and you like playing as long as they're not shit. But I think now we had like a lot of heroes that we like playing that were really, really good. And compared to other teams who weren't as comfortable with them, it gives you like a big advantage. But I think we also kind of like, I guess like if we weren't at the tournament, I think the meta would have looked a little bit different. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I think there's a lot of good things out there that people don't play or don't know about just because it's not up their alley.
Yeah. KP, how was the contrast from Peru to this TI in Copenhagen?
I mean, it's a hard comparison because in TI we only lost one series, right? So when you win, obviously the team's not going to be like emo and stuff. So I don't know, like I'm just observing and like everyone's just happy. So I mean, we're winning, so yeah.
I mean, I'll just ask for everyone at home. Like, there's 3 coaches now. Like, what were each of your roles, Jabs and KP, during TI specifically? Like, what part do you guys play in the strategic wins? I would say.
I mean, for me, I kind of moved back to mostly looking at what the enemies are doing. It was also KP not being on a team for too long kind of meant that we had to figure out who's doing what. But yeah, William was very set in the draft role and the overarching, like making sure that things run smoothly. And then I would do the preparation for opponents and like getting info on them. And then KP did a lot of work on specifically speaking about our team, like making sure that we do the things that we're doing right, that we keep doing them right. He would also look at opponents and talk about them, and just a lot of like strategic talk.
Yeah.
Up until this TI in Zania, Gaiman was always still eluding you guys in the big matches when it really mattered. This TI changed that. What changed? What was the big difference? Because you kind of slapped them.
So, again, for me, I realized after this TI that in every single final that we've played them, so I think every single team has like their S tier heroes that they want to play every single game.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there's bans, so you don't get to play them. But you have the next tier that is like the A tier heroes, and usually their like second round of heroes has just always been like way better than our second round of heroes. And I felt like at this event, they had no second round. They had like their main heroes, and then it was like their second didn't exist. Whereas we had like our S tier was so big that no matter what they did, they couldn't even get us out of like the top bracket. And I feel like usually when you play finals, having like a deeper pool gives you quite a big edge. And in this final, I feel like there were so many heroes that they just couldn't play, that it felt quite simple and straightforward. And I think that was like, for me at least, the reason why the final felt so much easier than all the other ones.
I can say that in every other final, I think we lost. I don't know if we lost every game, but we lost the first game. And I think in this TI we were kind of losing the first game, but then you like turn it around and win it. And I think for us it was like confidence, and for them they kind of choked a bit, or like they weren't probably used to getting like comebacked in that sense by us especially.
Yeah, Mickey, you mentioned like going into the tournament. You said to Will, like, if we don't win this one, I'll never win at TI. So like I guess for you guys, you know, you beat Gaming Gladiators 2-0 in the upper bracket finals. Like, talk us through finals day. Like, did you guys know you were gonna win? How you feel that morning? Does it feel like a different day? Is it everything you ever imagined like the day would be like? Like, this is the day I'm gonna win. I'll ask Mickey first.
I think we're all just warming up and like not really thinking about like winning or anything. We're just looking at who we're gonna play, because I think I remember Gaming played Tundra and game 3 was like quite hype.
Yeah.
Probably the best game of the tournament. So we were all just like watching and like screaming. I don't know.
The Doom bug.
Yeah, the
That was
boom bug
funny.
or something. It was a crazy game. So I mean, I think we all just like did our routine and just another game, I guess.
Did you guys want it to be gaming? Like, did it mean something to you guys, Nisha?
I think I was like rooting for Tundra.
I was kind of like.
and then I'm like thinking, okay, Topson has this hero.
I mean-
I'm like scared of every single one. So I'm like, okay, let's go Quinn. You know? So in the end, I was kind of rooting for gaming, I think.
So it had nothing to do with like revenge. It had to do with
No,
confidence in
Yeah,
matchup.
I think winning is what mattered for me, not revenge.
How about you, Jabs? How was the day for you?
I felt like it felt different from other finals. You know, usually we would think like, okay, this time it's different, but I feel like this time it generally felt different. I felt like everyone was so locked in, and like this guy was like playing a pub like while game 3 was happening. People were just so ready to smash them again, and I feel like it was like a culmination of all these like matches we played against them over the last 2 years, all coming into like this one, like now we're playing them TI finals. But no one was thinking about, oh, this is TI finals, we have to perform. Or maybe people were thinking about it, but it didn't come across that way. It just felt like everyone was so locked in and so ready to think of a solution for any problem that would come in our way. And it felt that way all the way until like the last second of the third game in the finals for me.
At what point did you guys realize you were gonna win? And it doesn't even have to be in the series. It could be the days before if you already feel like you're doing very well. I know that Will at some point
I mean,
said that he
I
thought he
remember
was.
after game 1 of grand finals,
Yeah.
where they made like, because played them in the upper, and then game 1 of grands, I feel like it was like the same thing, and I just realized like they just don't have heroes. I remember to myself, I thought like, unless we royally screw this up, this is pretty.
You got this in the bag.
Yeah, this should be ours.
Yeah. How about you, Mickey? When did it sink in?
I don't know, game 3. I didn't really think about
Has
it.
it sunk in
No,
yet?
I mean, the game is not over till the throne explodes, you know? If you listen to our voice comms, like game 3, we were still like locked in, even though we were like
Yeah.
50k ahead.
Yeah.
I guess from my perspective, it seems like you guys say you're all locked in. It almost seemed like a casual day at the office. But I'll almost repeat my earlier question. Was that different than all the other times you've been in the finals, like Boxy? Like, it seems like you guys are locked in, focused, ready to go, but like that means there's no distractions. Does it feel like in your previous experiences with finals, in big tournament moments, there was tension, there were distractions, things that were making it difficult to remain?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of previous finals we've been like a bit nervous or a bit not so confident. I think it's especially tough when you lose the first game and you need to like rethink, are we running the same idea again or are we testing something different? But I think with every year, I guess, we've gotten more confident as a team. And I think to be honest, in Riyadh, I wouldn't say that we lost so much confidence. I just think they were way better than us. But I think at TI, I think we kind of caught up to them and they maybe got a little less strong. And I think we didn't feel so, even when we were losing, I feel like we didn't feel so pressured or nervous. Because you can like tell a difference in people and how they respond to things, how like confident you are in making like risky stuff happen. And I feel like during TI it wasn't the same type of pressure that we can usually have during finals, which was really nice to feel, I guess. Because it's not so nice to play and suddenly feel like everything is getting to you, or like you don't want to feel like, oh, we're like performing worse now because it's a big thing. So.
Nisha, you'd been in TI finals before, and you've already won big tournaments before that as well. Did this TI for you feel like extra?
Extra?
Yeah. Compared to winning the other titles you've had?
Yeah.
Because you said specifically that the Riyadh might have been also very big the year before that in the previous chapter.
Yeah. It was kind of different, yeah. also like the fashion we won was like a very different feeling from like winning and struggling, but this was like kind of easy. So felt different, felt nice. Also, revenge on gaming again is great. Breaking the curse, and it was like all coming in together was great.
Yeah, undefeated run throughout the upper bracket. Nobody has done that before, so once again, congratulations. But we do have to talk about what's next, because you guys are all here, obviously part of the team, and nobody's retired. You did once again replace the drafter again. Mickey, are you? Did the trend replacing the drafter every year? Are you worried?
A little bit, but no, it's okay. We're just off to a bit slow start, but we'll get there when
It's all
William
good.
wakes up from his from his slumber.
Has winning TI changed your guys' approach, like going into this year? Like it seems like every year you've kind of had like a different note to end on. Does it feel different at this point in the season?
For me, it feels exactly the same as all the other previous years that we played. So it's normal.
Back to business as
Back
usual?
to business. Back to getting second places maybe, and then we'll pick up from there. We just need to get the grand finals, and Nisha's curse or blessing will win it for us.
The Nisha blessing. You want to elaborate on? I mean, I don't have to do it for you at an event. If you can do it yourself, Aiden.
So I saw this on broadcast at some point. Don't quote, I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but it sounds good, so I'm running with it. But apparently Nisha won, like during his stint with Secret and maybe even non-Penguin, he won 8 grand finals in a row. And then after that, he lost 8 grand finals in a row.
With
And
you
now-
guys? Yeah.
Not exclusively. It
Okay.
I think it started on Secret at
Oh yeah,
TI.
TI. Yeah.
Yeah, so he got
Yeah.
second at TI, and then 7 with us. Let's go, bro. And then, we won the last 2 that we've been in, so another 6 coming, hopefully. Or maybe the script's different this time. Maybe
Yeah.
after the initial 16,
Double it up.
the upcoming finals change.
I think that seems like a great notion to end this on. What a road it has been last 5 years, and apparently many more grand finals wins to come with the Nisha blessing coming out. Going into the next years, good luck. That's all I want to say. Any final words for you?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, final thought from me is, are there any moments throughout your entire journey to get there where it felt like vindicating to win this TI, to like feel like that was a moment that was worth it because of where I've ended up now, or I wish I knew where I was going to end up back then? Because like we talked about so many tough times throughout this journey. Did it make it all worth it, I guess? Or was it all worth it before that? Like, do you guys view this as an entire process? I guess I'll ask Aiden for this one too.
I guess for me, the most important part about winning TI was to set a goal like 7 or 8 years ago of like, I want to do this, and then putting in a lot of work and effort into trying to accomplish that goal, and then realizing you're not good enough and having Nisha, Mickey, Boxy, and Nera carry you to accomplish your goal. It was very nice. No, but like obviously like setting a goal and being able to accomplish it it's a very cool feeling, and it's something I think that gives you confidence not only in Dota but in life, that like if I put my mind to something and if I really try and I put effort into it, I can accomplish my goal. And I think that was like winning TI, the best part about it for me.
Okay. Then there's one more thing, because this is chapter 5. We've gone through a lot of chapters here, and Boxy, I'm going to ask you to be the mouthpiece for the whole squad here, because there's a lot of people that have followed your journey throughout this last 5 years, and I know it's not just been 5 for you guys. It's been a long road to get to this point, and an entire career spanning close to a decade, or maybe even over a decade, and also a long road for everybody watching all 5 chapters of this journey. You got any words for them, for the people that's been supporting all along the way for the longest time?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot of fans and a lot of old-time fans, and there's a lot of love for us, like from all of us to people who support us. There's obviously a lot of passion in watching Dota, and people can get like upset when you lose and they're happy when you win. But I think to have such a big like fan, like what do you call it?
Fan base.
Yeah, fan base behind Liquid and behind us has been really cool. And there's a lot of people at events who are really happy and passionate. And for me, it's when times have been a bit tough, or like when you're doing poorly, and still have people like behind you who cheer for you and root for you, has been pretty impactful. And to go to events and like see everyone and meet people, and they really want you to win, makes you like want to win even more, I guess. So it's just like having people, you're not only playing for yourself, but also for like your fans and your family and friends. So I think that's really cool. So a big thank you to everyone supporting us, I guess.
Yeah, and thank you to all 6 of you as well. That's the end of chapter 5. The final chapter, the chapter with victory.